Well, Rohit Sharma has 19 and a half minutes to still celebrate his birthday just in time. It looked like it was going to take forever to finish, but I think he sent out Daniel Sams and said, listen, the cake's really big. It needs to be consumed before 12, so go out there and finish it. That's exactly what he did. 600 strike rate. Well done, Daniel Sams. But the big one, the number is 2. Mumbai have 2 points on the board, and you'd have to give it to their fans. They were whooping in delight, and why not? They deserve it. Is it time for them to start spoiling a few parties? Have they dented the Rajasthan party slightly? We'll find out shortly. Let's talk about everything that's happened today. Here we are on Cricbuzz Live. I'm joined by Joy Bhattacharjya, Lisa Sthalekar. Lisa, I know it's too little, too late, every pun intended, but Mumbai will take it, no matter what.
Oh, you take it. You don't want to go through a season and not win a game. I don't know if this game. When we play pool in Australia, if you don't sink a ball, you have to do a nudie run around the table. I don't know if that's the same thing that you guys do. So I was getting a little bit concerned for Mumbai, the team at the end of the tournament, whether they have to do a little naked run around the oval or something. But they're off the mark. They've been able to get 2 points, and that's the most important thing.
No, they're very much doing, they're fully in blue. They're running around the stadium there. The wives, the teams, they're all celebrating the 5-wicket victory, which at one point, Joy, after Surya Kumar Yadav and Tilak Verma, who did all the hard work, decided to depart in a space of 3 deliveries, it suddenly was looking like, surely not.
Yeah. There was that one moment where of Kuldeep Sen, there was this huge inside edge, which Tim David had with just French cut, which just went past the keeper in the stumps. I mean, if that had hit the stumps, perhaps we'd be looking at a different game. But it was as if, they're so not used to winning that even when they got so close and even when, he gets out, at that time Surya gets out, they should be finishing that easily. And yet you can see they're not quite sure. People like Pollard and Davids, two of the finest finishers of the game. And yet there's that doubt in their step. They're not quite sure about what they're doing. And that just tells you what happens when teams go on prolonged losing streaks. You just lose all confidence you have. It's very, very difficult. It's a long journey to get it back. But at least Mumbai has started that journey.
They certainly have. Whether or not this will come to haunt Rajasthan later on, because of course you cannot count any team out at this stage of the tournament. We will have a look at the points table at a later stage. But Lisa, just purely from their performance point of view, is there any little thing they need to look at? Perhaps again the batting, to say, could we have posted a few more in the absence of Buttler or when Buttler was done with his innings?
Yeah, I mean, their firepower of Riyan Parag, he didn't quite fire, so they need to ensure that they find some runs other than Buttler. I mean, Shimron Hetmeyer was out of sorts. We haven't seen that from him. So sometimes you just got to put it down to, well, you know what? The conditions weren't great. We didn't adapt quick enough. They were a better side. Let's park it, move on, because as we know, these games come thick and fast. And if you focus or you just hold on to some disappointments, you may not be able to get yourself back on the track. But I think Rajasthan will be disappointed. But I think they probably felt that they were maybe 10 or 15 runs short.
I think if you have a look at their bowling effort, you'd have to just say, the batsman didn't put enough runs on the board, and maybe that one little blip of the decision to give Daryl Mitchell that 1 over. What a difference. Look at that. If you take those 20 runs out, Mumbai would still be looking at a few more to chase. Joy?
Yeah, I think it wasn't the greatest. See, again, it is one of those games where nobody was making great decisions in the field. I mean, if you remember on the other side, we had the same situation where Shauqeen went for that extra over. So I think what's happening on a pitch like this is they're saying that if the spinners don't get hit, the point is at some point in time, the batsman will decide that they're going to go after a specific bowler. And it's not so much the quality of the delivery, then they're playing the situation more than the specific delivery. And then you'll either get whacked out of the ground or you might get out. Or in some cases, like it was with Buttler both, where you get hit for 24 runs and also get out. So I think that's the problem. You have a situation where you're putting a spinner in a place where, or somebody who's not really express quick and does a little bit of this and that, That extra over is dangerous, and I think he wanted to change ends or give himself a few more options. You don't know what he's thinking out there, but he'll definitely look at it and wonder, is this the pitch? And I think Daryl Mitchell, perhaps he thought because he's slower and he can just bowl cutters into the ground. But if somebody hasn't bowled for a very long time, you suddenly throw them the ball, it's not that easy to just hit that lengthy pitch.
Well, I guess all you can turn around and say is they probably evened each other out. The Ritik Shokeen over, the Daryl Mitchell over, a similar kind of runs, 24 and 20. Let's put it out of our minds and look at Mumbai having won the match. What it also means is no points for Rajasthan. Remember at the start of the day, we said if Gujarat win, they can leapfrog to right at the top of the table, which they duly did. Rajasthan could have gone to 14 and kept that little gap on the top. So Gujarat 16, but Rajasthan could have gone to 14. They won't. Now, they've done 9 games with 12 points. They can't afford too many other slips because, Lisa, if you have a look at this table, it can start to get very crowded. Hyderabad have only played 8. Give them a couple of more games, they could be 14.
Yeah, it's following the normal suit. You add a couple more teams, you just have more people jammed in the middle. Really, it doesn't. It's what we always know and love about the IPL. So the next few games for a lot of those teams are really starting to come down to crunch matches for them to progress to the top 4. So there'll be a lot of movement, no doubt.
Yeah, but if you have a look at from Mumbai's point of view, it was the usual suspects in a sense. Yes, they got out at the wrong time, but a lot of credit, apart from Ishan Kishan with a little bit at the top, joy was Surya Kumar Yadav and Tilak Verma. They've been pretty much the only standouts, the solid standouts for Mumbai this season, despite not getting points. And this time they needed both of them. 50 from Surya Kumar Yadav and a very polished 35 or 30 from Tilak Verma.
Absolutely. I mean, they both played well, but I just have to say that Surya Kumar Yadav is just such an exceptional batsman, because one of the things you see is that he never seems to get himself bogged down. He always manages to score. Look at the strike rate again. It's 130. And Tilak Verma, for the 30 balls that he played, finally ends up on 116, 117 strike rate. Surya Kumar Yadav has this great ability to be able to sweep and slog sweep spinners to almost anywhere in the leg side, And so that gives him the range. He just has to calibrate his shot to decide exactly where he wants the ball to end up. And he does that so beautifully. He plays that side of the field so beautifully that it sets him up in the offside for his, hitting it over the covers. So I think that's the thing, that when you have a batsman like him, all they have to say is that let Surya Kumar Yadav stick in the crease for 6-7 overs. And the one thing that you just now want to turn around and tell Mumbai is that why was your best batsman, and he is the best batsman in Mumbai on form right now, why was he not playing at number 3? I mean, number 3 is his natural position, not number 4. He's capable of controlling the game because he always gets you runs quickly, and he can hold up one end as well. I just do not understand why they didn't play him at 3.
I mean, Mumbai will be looking back and saying, I wish we could turn back time.
Yeah, well, they can, they can't. The main thing is they take a lot of things out of this so that they can implement it for next season. But Sky in that number 3 position is a no-brainer. I'm glad to see Tim David there as well. I thought, given the opportunity to go again, probably having a chance to kind of sit back and have a look at how the IPL is, what the conditions are, how people go about it. He's learnt a lot and performed well. The other thing I want to, before we move on to the next day and the previews, I wanted to touch on one thing I noticed. Now, we saw a lot of byplay, and we comment on this in the com box between Kuldeep Yadav and Surya Kumar Yadav, but there was byplay between the wives. So what I loved to see was that Ashwin's wife, when he got Rohit out, ran over to his wife, Rohit's wife, and just was giving it to her. And they were all having a ball. So it's great to see that good friendships still last in the IPL, and everyone can have a bit of fun and poke fun at each other. But at the end of the day, they're still friends.
Yep, we've seen it off the field, we've seen it on the field, and I think that's the beauty of this tournament, and it's the beauty of the game of cricket that spawns all these friendships. We've got plenty to come It's going to be rivalry. It's going to be friendship. It's going to be another big Sunday and many, many points at stake. Of course, the talking point has been the men in yellow, but even before that, it's going to be Lucknow taking on Delhi. This is what's coming up in the afternoon, the first of two games. And this is where we return to the Wankhede Stadium, Delhi versus Lucknow, match number 45. Yep. 70 matches in the group stage. So we know we are well past halfway already, and the points are starting to matter. Let's talk about Lucknow first, Joy. One of two new franchises, Gujarat sitting at the very top. Lucknow also looked as if they could be belonging in the top four. Suddenly they've had a bit of a roller coaster and a bit of a reality check in a couple of games.
I think they have, and I think their problem has also been that same position, the number 3 position, because the person that they slotted in for that position was Manish Pandey, and he's just not done it for them. And I think they did a brave thing last match because they have so many all-rounders by deciding to go with the extra bowler, because they've been noticing that teams like Gujarat have been winning with more bowlers, and they decided for a bit to say that, okay, I don't need to bat till 9 necessarily. I can bat till 7, 8, have decent players till 7, 8. I mean, somebody like a Jason Holder walking at 7 is fantastic for them. And still have the likes of Avish Khan and Mohsin Khan and Bishnoi, and therefore play those extra bowlers as well, and Jamira. So I think that's the thing for them. The secret for them is the fact that if Huda settles in at 3, this is a very, very strong side, and this is a side that is going to go far in this tournament. Remember as well that when their fast bowlers lose their sheen, they have somebody like a Shahbaz Nadeem when the pitches really slow down who can come into the team. Krishnappa Gautam can come into the team. Kunal Pandya anyway is a slow bowler. Deepak Huda gives you a little bit. Vishnu is there. So these guys are also equipped to play the tournament when the pitches get lower and slower. So I am quite, and they won last time. Last time they won, they scored just about 155 and managed to defend. I like this team. They've shown some resilience for me as well.
Lisa, do you agree with the formula? You want to stick with what Lucknow did the last time around? We were a little taken aback. Mohsin Khan bowled well, so he kept his place. Avish Khan came right back in there.
Yeah, no, from a bowling point of view, I think everyone's going well. I guess my question mark is probably around Marcus Stoinis and what he's doing, and whether and Evan Lewis comes back in. If they're not going to use him from a bowling perspective, he hasn't fired except for the first game, maybe another 24. This is Stoinis. Whether they give an opportunity to Evan Lewis, so that might be the only thing that I think that they're just missing a few more runs in the middle, and Manish Pandey hasn't worked. Even Deepak Huda had, so they haven't found that number 3. So maybe Evan Lewis gets another opportunity. That would be my only change.
Yeah, seems a long time ago when he was making an impact early on, that one innings that he had. Then he went back to his trademark sweeps and he was swept out of the team. So let's see if what he's been doing in the nets and if he inspires enough confidence. In terms of the opposition, what have they been doing? Lucknow came off a good win with that little change in combination. What about Delhi? They too have gone through a phase of a really good win, that win against Punjab. Not necessarily always sticking it together, but the last time around, Lisa, towards the end, Rovman Powell showing that, yes, I can be counted. I'm in the team. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, 230 odds from him in the back end, and they've figured out how to get the best out of him. They sent him up early. He didn't look good against spin when he had time. Now they're finding the right time in a match to bring him in. David Warner, Prithvi Shaw, and even Rishabh Pant, they're the ones that are really scoring the bulk of the runs now. And now with Rovman Powell kind of stepping up as well. And then from a bowling point of view, I mean, we can keep going on how good Kuldeep Yadav has been. I mean, the fact that the 4 times that Delhi have won, he's picked up player of the match performance just shows you what an impact he's having. So things are looking good for Delhi.
And they also have options. In case Khalil does return, Joy, you see him just slotting straight back in, or does Sakarya get another chance?
No. I think they've themselves said, and they've been very clear about it, that Khalil is their first choice bowler. So he's going to slot right back in, because with Khalil in there, that attack looks good. And the good part about it is, with Powell now scoring runs, they have the option to give Mitch Marsh a bit more of an extended run. because they know that he's a good player. They know he can play strongly. Now Powell is giving them runs because what was happening was they were very dependent on their top order with Prithvi and Warner. And Warner's just so amazingly consistent, he's almost always given it to them. Now they have a situation where a Robin Powell is also giving it for them. All they now need is Khalil back in form, Khalil back in action and just physically fit, and Rishabh Pant to give them at least one really, spectacular innings. Because I think Rishabh, the batsman, the destructive finisher, is still not really shown himself in this tournament.
Well, that's Delhi against Lucknow. Both teams have come off a win, and these two cities in close proximity will be taking each other on at the Wankhede in the afternoon. Post that, we'll be going to one game that certainly will be a lot in focus for several reasons on and off the field. And if you see what game it is, you'll know exactly why I'm saying that. Here it comes. This is the one. Yep, it's the team on the right we're talking about. Hyderabad have been there no matter what they've done. The big news of Saturday has been Ravindra Jadeja is no longer the leader of the Chennai Super Kings. It has gone back to the supreme leader, who will be Mahendra Singh Dhoni in charge. Now, when they walk out, Joy, I'm just trying to think. I mean, we'll start looking at team changes and things like that. But what is the whole difference going to be when they walk out there? And how does Jadeja walk out there? Is there going to be a change?
No, firstly, Jadeja himself will be walk out a relieved man. Perhaps you'll see a good performance because it's not that somebody came to him and put a tap on his shoulder and said, you can't do this. It's that I don't want to do it anymore. I don't think I can do it. Let me just be the best player I can. And therefore, I don't think it's going to be as difficult for it as it would have been for him had he been replaced as a captain. But what also happens is in all these things, it's sometimes it's just a matter of doing a reset. I remember in 2014 a situation where Gautam Gambhir, got about 5 runs in the first 5 innings he played. And then there was a little matter, he just changed his jersey number. Now, you may say that, how does it make a difference? It does make a difference. It's a reset. Okay, I'm starting from scratch again. So, Chennai's fans, Chennai team will be saying, okay, fine, that part of the season is over. We are starting from 0-0 with Dhoni as captain. Let's see how we do. Let's see how many matches we win. So, sometimes just the psychological reset button always helps a team. And then if that reset happens to be Mahendra Singh Dhoni coming back, that is just, that turbocharges that reset as well. So, yeah, it's going to make a huge difference to them. They're going to be a very, very different entity. And they'll be hoping to make a fresh new start in this tournament.
And here I thought you only did that with technology. You have a problem with your laptop, you have a problem with your phone, just reset, restart. Everything's fixed. Well, we're hoping that things do get fixed, but it's not that, yes, it came as a surprise to us when we heard the news on Saturday, Lisa, but it's not that it was as surprising in terms of digesting the information, because we've been shouting from the treetops saying, look, Jadeja doesn't seem right for the captaincy.
Yeah, and we spoke about it when it was officially mentioned, and I mentioned how brave it was for him to kind of put his hand up. A lot of players, a lot of leaders kind of go, no, I'll stick at it. I don't want to come across as weak or soft. But he's actually, to be honest, doing something that he's comfortable with, that he feels that will be more beneficial for the team, but also for him and his impact in the game. So let's see. Like Joy, I don't think it's going to be an issue. It'll almost be walking out like it was last year. Everything will be fine. Mahendra Singh Dhoni at the top, making all of the calls. Great. I'll just slot into my backward point position and run a few people out at the non-strikers end. Done.
Exactly, and come into bowl at attacking times, maybe with the bat in hand, finish off games like he's been done, whether they're batting first or chasing. Quick one, if you have a look at that squad again, Joy, any possible changes in there? Now that we know the reset has been pressed, we're not sure about Moeen Ali and when he's going to be coming back, but otherwise Santner's been doing decently with the ball. Does he stick with you at number 3?
Yeah, I think they'll stick. If Moeen doesn't come back, they'll stick with Santner at number 3. I think more than any other squad, Chennai realizes or understands the folly of tooling around too much with no reason. And they've actually made more changes than they normally do. And, we had Fleming came out and said that, he wants to give Hanger Gekar the chance to sort of settle in. So there doesn't seem to be any much of a chance out there. They like Mukesh Chaudhary and what he's doing. Thikshana is a mystery bowler for them. Look, this is also a very powerful batting side. It just hasn't got going the way it could have. And the day they get going, somebody has scored more runs than them. That's basically been their problem. But this is one of the more powerful batting units in this tournament. And it has to show someday or the other. So they should expect a big one.
Yeah, well, I think it's a game that everyone's looking forward to, particularly to see the new look side, in a sense, with the old captain back. Sounds confusing, it's not. Hyderabad, now what about them? They have just had a game where they've put on 190 on the board after finally batting first, and it got chased down. They'll be a little bit confused, but not too much damage done, Lisa, with that?
No, I mean, Umran Malik, he picked up the player of the match performance, 5 for 25. You don't often see a player from a losing side getting the player of the match performance. So there was a lot of things that they could take out of that. And we know in T20 cricket, it comes down literally sometimes to one ball, one event, or half an over. And that's really probably what cost Hyderabad. But they're flying at the moment. They look very comfortable with what they're doing. Kane Williamson at the helm, Tom Moody involved from a coaching point of view. They've got all of the rock stars in their coaching network, and it's all paying off, and players look happy and comfortable in their roles.
All except for the fact that, like we've said with Virat Kohli, like we said with Rohit Sharma, and I think you could pretty much put them at the same pedestal. A certain Kane Williamson-Joy would like some runs for himself.
Yeah, he'd like some runs for himself. And I think the two things he's been doing after the past match is probably, one is just going to the nets and sort of trying to sort himself out. And the other is just putting an arm around Marco Jansen, young Marco Jansen, and saying, these days will happen. And
hang on. Joy, how do you put your arm around Marco Jansen?
I admit you've just got to wait for him to sit down. Very fair point. Absolutely fair point, Gautam. I should have, mixed metaphors or picking your metaphors at the right time. Absolutely. But yeah, Marco Jansen, he just needs to tell him that, these things happen. You're a great bowler. That last over, it's okay. It's going to happen. One of these days, somebody's going to get hold of you. And the next time somebody tries to get hold of you, you'll be a bit better prepared as to how to handle it. Don't worry about it. Because it's important for them that it's a set bowling unit. Because what's happening with Umran Malik giving them that kind of pace in those wickets, what's going to happen is the others are going to benefit, because that's one less bowler to attack, which means they're going to have to take more risks with the other bowlers as well. And I think that what happens is the largest of wickets spread out. The more people take risks, the more wickets you get. So this is a set unit. This is a good team. And they lost a really good match, perhaps one of the finest matches of this year's tournament. So they wouldn't read too much into it at all.
Yeah, while the graphic was on, I was just trying to imagine how you actually do that. Yeah, that's how you'd probably do that. But yeah, whether you take it metaphorically, literally, I think that's what they also did with Odean Smith. Not they, but Punjab did it with Odean Smith. Put an arm around, you have to reach out quite far for that, and told him that, listen, we have confidence in you. Got him in the next game, got him to bowl the last over, and obviously it paid off dividends. And Lisa, even one little area that they had not quite ticked, the Hyderabad franchise, was Shashank Singh. He played about 5 matches and didn't get to bat. Finally gets to bat and strikes at 416.67.
Yeah, perfect, isn't it? Just be the fielder for the majority of this tournament, and when you come in, can you just please go ballistic? And that's exactly what he's done. So great to see that he actually got an opportunity. That's one thing as players. You just want to have an impact in the game. Yes, everyone understands in T20 cricket, and if you're batting down the order, you may not face that many balls, but you want to go out there at least. So now he's got out there and he scored some runs. That's good signs for them.
Gautam, I have a complaint out here. I mean, also, can rookies start playing like rookies? I mean, can debutants or, guys in their first season at least look nervous to make us feel better about ourselves? Because they all come out there in year one, they're coming out there as if they haven't played, they whack it out of the park. Yash Dayal comes at bowls with 143, turns the ball away. Vaibhav Arora swings it away beautifully in his first match. Mukesh Chaudhary, what are these guys made of? Why aren't they showing nerves?
You're saying year one. You're saying year one, day one.
Day one.
They walk out on day one. We saw it with...
I just don't understand what these guys eat, what's in their diet, what's happening to these guys. Please be a bit nervous because these 5-year vets will turn around and say, this is how they give us play, chill, relax. These guys say, no, we're perfectly relaxed. You go and stand at mid-all, let me hit my shots. That's exactly what's happening out here.
These guys have so much confidence in their ability that they've been waiting. It's almost like they've been waiting their whole life for this moment. So they're not stuffing it up. They've watched so much. The confidence that oozes out of all of them is just astounding. And it also shows as well domestic cricket and things that are going on behind the scenes before the IPL, the talent scouting, the trials and all of that are all paying off dividends because they are coming in and they're having an impact straight away, which is great to see.
Yeah, Kumar Kartikeya was another one on Saturday who made an impression for Mumbai. And some of them also belie their age. The only person in the entire lot, Joy, who actually looks his age, if not 5 years younger, is Hrithik Shokeen. He looks 12 and a half. So
He does.
Hrithik Shokeen, if he has to watch an adult movie, he won't be allowed in.
no chance. No chance. There are certain dressing rooms, and I remember as I was actually 12 and a half, actually, Lisa, when I went to the SCG for the first time to watch a test match. And I was wanting to get a tour of the dressing room I wasn't allowed in because it said 18 only. So I said, what if someone is 15 or 16? What if Sachin came here? Not that I knew Sachin at the time, but what if someone who's a young kid who were to come in here and they were like, no, mate. So
that hasn't happened, mate.
Doesn't happen. So let's see what Joy factor question, not for adults, for all ages. Joy, your question. Repeat the question and give us the answer.
Okay, here goes. So the question was, which Indian's only wicket is a Lahore-born cricketer who played his last international match in February 22? This cricketer actually played just one match, and it's about 6 years ago. The cricketer is one of the most expensive domestic cricketers bought at the time in the IPL. It's Pawan Negi. And of course, the wicket he took was of Mohammad Usman, who was Lahore-born, but he was playing for the United Arab Emirates. So It's a bit of this thing, but Pawan Negi is an interesting character. So yeah, again, Pawan Negi for me remains one of the mysteries of the tournament. Big money, had all the promise. I've seen them in nets, and then suddenly disappeared.
I even completely forgot the one T20I he played. So there you go. That's the interesting one. I wonder who spotted that. I'm betting it's one of your regulars. It's got to be Joy. Go on, let's find out our winner. Yeah, it is.
It is.
It is. Parth Narodia. Well done, Parth. It had to be one of our quiz regulars. We're not going to say anymore that it's a pseudonym of Joy. We've given him the benefit of the doubt there, that these are real people. They actually give real answers, and we love them all. But Joy, you ready to leave us and have a party on Sunday?
Yep, match party on Sunday. 8 hours of watching cricket. And Irfan sings beautifully. Avijit makes the worst jokes. And they threaten me with chocolate momos. Like, that's what they tell me, that we'll give you chocolate momos if you refuse to do the program. So I'm like, I'm held hostage. I have to do it.
There's a possibility. Chocolate momos, the things we talk about. And if Joy doesn't get his diet of chocolate momos, retro reels come out, and it's great fun. Go back in time, figure out facts and figures, and it's always fascinating. All of it. Where do you find it? Cricbuzz Plus. In case you're not there, I recommend you get quickly on there. Well, we tried to finish this before midnight. We've just built into Sunday. It doesn't matter. We had a fascinating discussion. It's a big day. Mahendra Singh Dhoni is now the captain of Chennai. Mumbai now have 2 points on the board. So lots has happened over Saturday. Why not give one last quick glance at the points table before we leave you early on Sunday morning? Yes, it's Sunday in Australia, it's Sunday in India as well. 16 to Gujarat, 12 to Rajasthan, should have been 14, but forget all that. Look down at the bottom. It's Mumbai on 2 finally. And on Sunday, Lucknow could get to 14, Delhi could get to double figures, and Hyderabad could seal themselves a dozen points as well. So lots of potential movements to happen. Chennai could get to 6, but that's not important for the moment. Lots to look forward to on Sunday. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Lisa. Enjoy your chocolate momos. And to all of you, thank you for watching Cricbuzz Live.